Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Growing Social Now. I am your conversation host, Barbara Rosgoni, and I am really excited to introduce you to my friend, Jasmin Haley. Hi, Jasmin.
Hey, Barbara. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So, in the show, I always tell you, how did we meet? Because let's be honest, most of these folks are friends. And the way Jasmin and I met was through National Speakers Association Carolinas chapter. Jasmin came to a presentation I gave in November at the Speaker Intensive about growing your speaking business to skyscraper status. And Jasmin actually did what I told people to do. So that was, thank you again, Jasmin, because you give these speeches and you wonder, So anyway, we met and Jasmin took over my role as marketing person. I nominated her because I thought this woman knows how to take action and get things done. And after looking at everything you've been doing since I've known you, I am really impressed and just so thrilled that you're joining us today.
Oh, thank you. You were actually one of the presentations that stood out for me. I loved your presentation. I loved your style and I love the thought process that you put into it. I saw some heart in there, which is all that I love.
Mm-hmm.
But you were able to incorporate that with social media, which is often what you don't see.
I agree. Yeah. And it's sometimes I put my heart into it and I'm like, does anybody care or feel it? And you know what? I don't care if I feel it or what's going out there. So let's talk about your business. It's called Legacy Speaker and your background. And when you see Jasmin, you can see her gorgeous smile. Her
Thank you.
background is really in oral health care. So do you want to tell us, how did you start your business? Because I love that entrepreneurial journey and path.
Yeah, so I started my business in 2016, and I wind up being a full-time educator at that point in time, but wind up going through intense burnout. And
Mm.
so at that particular time, I was a part of a nonprofit association. I was the vice president of the association, state association, and one of the tasks that I had was organizing the events. And
That's a big
I
job. It's
it's a
huge. Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned was when I started seeing the paychecks of speakers, they were making more than what I was making in a month
Whoa.
as a faculty member.
Wow.
So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm over here working extremely hard for my students, which I loved. But at
Mhm,
that point in time, I knew I needed to escape from that. So I started my business, and I
mhm.
all I did for the first 4 years of my business was speaking in events. That was it.
Oh,
So I
wow.
grew my business to six figures doing that. And I knew at the end of 2019, I needed to shift outside of the healthcare industry, which was a very
Mhm,
difficult choice. And I
mhm,
happened to be doing the shift in a new industry during the
mhm.
pandemic.
Oh,
And
that's
so
tough. Wow.
it was
Yeah.
extremely tough. Can't wait to share some of the lessons that I learned with social with that. But that
Mhm.
led me to doing what I'm doing now with my global consulting firm.
Great. Yeah, it's wonderful. And you and I have something in common. You said that your mother inspired your business, and I named my business after my mother and my grandmother, Corey West.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't pull that story out as much as I should, but they were two women who really didn't get the attention they deserved. And I feel like I can honor them every day because they're no longer with me.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk a little bit about just legacy, because I think that's a concept that people don't take to heart enough. And I listened to one of your podcasts and you were talking about regret. And I'm reading Daniel Pink's book, which is The Power of Regret. And my book club decided to read it too. And I thought, that's not like a normal book club selection. But regret is something that we all deal with. So if you want to talk about how you connected those two, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, so when I was in a state of burnout, I was dealing with the most debilitating pain I had ever experienced in my life.
Oh,
And I kept going to repeat hospital visits and urgent care visits, and they kept saying to me, Miss Haley, nothing is wrong. I was healthy,
oh wow.
but they couldn't explain what was wrong. And
Yeah.
my mother happened to pass away during my time as a full-time educator. I didn't
Oh,
handle that grief. I couldn't. I had to jump back
yeah.
into work. And then I
Mhm.
had unhealed trauma. So it was like almost a perfect storm. And what I come to find out was in one of my episodes, which was the worst episode I ever experienced. My daughter walked in. And
Mm-hmm.
when my youngest daughter walked in, she was, I think, I believe 5 years old. The look of horror on her face was enough for me to say something needs to change. What I have come to find out in my journey was that my mother had hopes and dreams she never got a chance to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I needed to set more boundaries and start living my life as if I am actually creating my legacy at the moment. So every single program that I have, our consultant firm is actually called Legacy Scalar.
Mm-hmm.
Every program that we have, every single one is focused in on legacy. We're building our legacy right at this moment. And when I realized that after reading Les Brown's quote about the richest place on earth being the graveyard,
Oh,
when we think
wow.
about it not being Dubai, New York City, but the graveyard, because so many
Yeah.
people's hopes and dreams are there
Oh,
because they were too scared to move forward. That was
yeah.
enough for me to say, all right, I may not think I'm worthy right now, but I'll do it for my daughter. I'll do
Mm-hmm.
it for my daughters because they're watching me. And I'm demonstrating to them the type of life they can lead. My mom is no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks my heart that she couldn't see me accomplish so many things she never got a chance to do. But I know that if I am at the very last moment of my life, would I regret not moving forward and sharing my message and sharing my story? The answer to that is yes. So I'm going to push past the fear. I'm going to push past the unworthiness. Now I know I'm worthy. Now I don't need my daughter's face. I have my own. I'm
Mm-hmm.
deserving of achieving my dreams and my goals. So I would say to you, your story of your mother, and I believe your grandmother, needs to be shared because there are people right now that are listening to this message that need to be unlocked from fears of whatever
Mm-hmm.
fears they may come from. It could show up in many different ways for them to continue to show up in a way that honors them. And when we do that, we build better communities, we make more impact, we help save people's lives. I know that that may seem dramatic for some people, but you would be just flabbergasted by the amount of people who are locked into these cages that are brought on by whatever stories are told by themselves over the years. It could have been a statement that was said to them. It could
Mm-hmm.
have been whatever it is that prevents them from showing up in a full way.
Wow. That's such a powerful, powerful answer to that question, Jasmine. And for those of you who are listening, go back to that Les Brown quote and think about, what is locked inside of you that you would really like to bring out. And Jasmine's a great person to work with, and National Speakers Association. Even if you just want to come to one meeting and ask people, why do you do what you do?
Mhm.
You'll really feel parts of you. And I know when I went to my first meeting in 2006, I was like, okay, there's something here, something to follow. So, and the legacy part, do you feel like what would happen if we thought that every action we took was a piece of our legacy? Would that
Mm.
work? Or
Ooh, I would tell you that I don't know if you've ever seen this meme where people have said, "Oh, you're about to be sick of me now." I feel like everybody would show up like that.
Oh, really?
Yes, because you'll be legacy driven. It's like thing is like when
Yeah.
people think about legacy, they're like, oh, well, it's what I leave my people. No, it's what you're
Mhm.
doing right now. It's the
Right.
relationship that you're building. It's the kind
Mhm.
gesture that you're giving to a stranger. That is a part of your legacy. You have no idea the amount of people you're able to touch. And so you'll show up differently for your business, your brand, because now you have a stronger why built on it that's beyond just what it is that you're serving for your clients, but understand the amount of ripple effects that can happen for you showing up in a really authentic and powerful way by keeping the focus on your legacy.
I love that. So, legacy is kind of, it's a very big word. So how do you like, and package seems like is it really doing it justice? But from a content perspective, or is it values perspective, how do you really determine what your legacy is? And how do you communicate it? Is there a simple way to do it? Is it really a big deal? How do you get that across?
I think for me is that there is a missing piece for most of us. We're not, especially for women, and those
Mm-hmm.
identify as women. We have been kind of told to be in a place where we're told to keep quiet. I don't know if you remember as a child that you should be
Oh,
seen and not heard, okay?
yeah.
So what happens is we get to a state where we're scared to be visible and to get out there and share.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think when we look at just like the work that I do specifically, what I do is I package people's brilliance and expertise into a signature talk. And then I help them connect that to the offerings in their business so they can then scale their business by using the most powerful asset that they have, which is their voice. I think when we look at storytelling, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times when we're sharing our brilliance, we forget about the critical piece of sharing parts of what makes our heart sing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that connection to humanity that gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk about difficult subjects. That's how I started off. My area of expertise is working with persons living with HIV and dealing with substance use disorder. That's how I started in healthcare. That is not a fun topic.
No,
But
it's a
yet,
tough one, but it's
it's a
so
tough one.
important.
It is
Yeah.
important. Yep. And I was
Yeah.
able to connect with each of the audience members' hearts, even with a
Oh,
difficult topic.
yeah. Yeah. That's a tough thing to do, but just really, it's a great challenge. There are a lot of people who are speakers and it's like all fun and glitter, and that's fine too. But I guess what I'm hearing now is even if you think you have a hard topic, as long as it's in your heart, it's something that needs to be communicated because you never know who you're going to touch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so that was what I took with me in 2019, beginning of
Mhm.
2020, when I had
Mhm.
to restart my brand and business
Mhm.
all over again. No one knew who
Wow.
the heck I was. No one knew who I was.
So you came from nowhere, so to speak. And so social media had to play some kind of role in that. So tell us how you went from being the best kept secret to somebody that is, someone who has a legacy that people want to aspire to and follow. How did you make that leap?
Relationship building. People
Okay.
don't realize that every time you show up on social, whether it be in a Facebook group or a
Hmm.
LinkedIn group or on
Hmm.
any social media post, you're building relationships and you can do that through story. And
Okay.
so I had to get to a place of understanding and getting clear on the direction of where I needed to be.
Hmm.
And once I was clear on that and my own story and not being ashamed of that, I started getting massively visible. And when I knew that I hit the sweet spot is when people stated, "Hey, I need X, Y, and Z help with this speaking," and multiple people were saying my name. So
Wow.
one of
Hmm.
the things that we have to realize with social media is that even when you're making a post, you're building a relationship
Hmm.
with individuals, whether or not they're actually accepting of your services for themselves
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
being amazing referral partners for the work that you do. So I had to focus in on the relationship building aspect in a new industry where I was used to being known and then completely in a place where I was unknown.
That took a lot of guts. There are some people who step into social media, and I kind of say, oh, I really do admire them. They say, they're a digital marketing expert, and they've had two or three projects, and that honestly, that sense of confidence is really inspiring. But there are a lot of people who have the imposter syndrome, and they feel like even though they have, let's say they're a digital marketing leader, they're still afraid to say they're a digital marketing expert. So how did you overcome that fear? And a lot of people would have just said, Jasmin, are you like, what are you thinking? You can't do that. So how did you overcome that and step into it and say, here's who I am? It's like almost like having a superpower.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want y'all to know that I didn't do that at first. I had
Okay.
I had to hit rock bottom
Uh-huh.
and question whether or not my business could continue. So I did a
Oh,
year
wow.
and a half of launches that were failing because I was not aligned.
Okay.
When I surrendered, when I got truly focused on what my area of expertise, and there were multiple whispers and signs throughout.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was saying because I'm a person of color, I'm a woman of color, no one would take me seriously. Most people who are
Mhm.
speaking consultants are men or women, white and older.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
from Jamaica, Queens, with some gold hoop earrings, right? And I am who I am. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I'm not effective at what I do. And so I
Mhm.
had let false stories and one negative experience prevent me from stepping fully and niching down into what I'm doing today. But when
Mm.
you are seeing dust bunnies running up in your bank account, y'all, and you start seeing them having a whole party,
Oh,
and
no.
you have to ask yourself, have I truly done everything possible on social media to get out there and share my voice? And my answer was no. So I put
Mhm.
my program on a Google Doc. I showed up live every day, y'all. I stopped getting consumed with the number of people that were liking my stuff. And I got consumed with being legacy driven and understanding I'm looking for that one person to give me a yes.
Mhm.
And that one person came after I was at the very rock bottom. And she came and she said to me, Jasmin, I was waiting for you to start this program. That
Wow.
one person is
Uh,
now 8 people in my program. And I was concerned of, who's going to want to pay high ticket? Who's going to want to be in
yeah.
this container? But when I saw the transformation and I realized that no one's going to give me permission but myself, it allowed
Mhm.
me to show up more fully on social media. I stopped countering back. I know what I'm talking about. There's a reason why I was able to build a brand with speaking at events. There's a reason why I'm able to help my people create amazing work. There's a reason why people used to come in and say, hey, can you help me with my speaker abstract? Hey, can you do this? And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not coaching on that. But they kept coming back for that. So for anyone that is in that messy middle, there's a little ounce of faith that you need of your God-given abilities to push forward. And you've got to almost surrender to trying to make it work with anyone else's pattern and think about what are your strengths? How can you show up that way in most imperfect way and make a difference?
Great advice. And, focusing on just one person. I mean, a lot of times with marketing, it's like, oh, I need 100, I need 1,000, whatever. But if you have one person who has faith in you and you can grow your program based on that, then it's like one step at a time.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. One step at a time. And every time that was enough momentum. For me
Mhm.
personally, I believe in God. I was like, give me a sign. Give me a sign it's not over.
Yeah. Keep
Give me
going,
a sign.
Jasmin.
Because I had literally spent my last $10,000 in a program that was amazing. But
Yeah.
I had 2 failed launches still after that. And so I had to get really serious. It's not the social media,
Yeah.
because there's multiple ways in which you can grow your business through social media.
There are,
There's
yeah.
multiple ways that you can build a business model. But something
Mhm.
wasn't in alignment with me. And so you have to ask yourself, you got to be honest with yourself. What's not in alignment right now? Have I really tried everything? And no, I did not. And when I finally did the launch on social media, I did it in a way that felt good to me, that felt light to me. I didn't worry about all the sequences. I worried about getting that first sale and then
That's
continue to
really
show up
smart.
every day after.
Yeah, I think that with especially with digital marketing, internet marketing, when you go to these programs, there's so many different steps that you can get exhausted before you even write your first headline. There's
Yes.
just a lot of moving parts. So back to what you said about relationships, I think that really is the key to social media. And you never know who's seeing your post and who's gonna call you. So I know you have some amazing success stories. Is there one you'd like to share?
Hmm. Uh, so a recent success story by using the power of social media would be my workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided in April that even after that experience of me getting that one client, I still was in the background, not fully believing in myself. And so I decided in April that I was going to spend 2 weeks of setting this up and go on a tour.
I
I
love
didn't
that
know.
tour. I'm like, I just want to see where Jasmine's going now. That sounds like so fun.
It is fun. It is fun. And and I said to myself, like, what cities? And I
Uh-huh.
pre-sold it. I pre-sold it online. I pre-sold it online. That means that nothing was set up other than the concept. And so the same, what I'm so excited about is that I sold out 3 of the 4 cities. And in one of the
Oh,
cities,
it's great.
we had to add an additional day because of the demand. So that's one of the ones
Wow.
that I'm going next week. That's in San Diego. So we went from Charlotte, Chicago, San Diego, and then New York City. And then next year we'll be global. We'll be heading to London. So these
Nice.
are this is one of my wins, I would say, this year that I was.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Siri's talking. Um, that was one of my wins that I didn't expect to have. It wasn't planned
Uh-huh.
out, but I knew I needed to get more visible. And I used the power of social media and relationships and going out there and sharing it nonstop on the transformation and utilizing video to also
Mhm.
demonstrate the transformation that allowed me to sell out 3 out of the 4 workshops that I hosted this year. Well, we'll be hosting this year.
So you use your background as an event planner to bring that in, and your educator, you're putting a lot of different pieces in place, and you don't really need to have this whole funnel system with all these little bells and whistles. I always think of it like as a pinball game, you got to have all these things. People go here and then they do that, so yeah, so that's really, really impressive. And it takes, I think it takes a lot of courage to say, I'm going to do this. But what it does though, is it grows your business in different places, which is
Yeah.
exciting. Now you're expanding your network beyond. We both live in North Carolina, so you're expanding it beyond North Carolina. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your business, or any social media tips about what and I would encourage everyone to follow Jasmin, because your video production is really, really good. It's exciting to watch you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the 3 tips that I would leave for anyone, it's a part of my proprietary process on how I look at creating a speaking business, but I think it could apply anywhere. The first thing that you have to work on when you look at social media is that it requires a huge demand of visibility. So that means that you have to be steeped in and rooted in your level of worthiness and your confidence,
Mm-hmm.
because there's going to be people that are going to question you. So don't say, well, what if some people question you? Well, they will. So what you gonna do next?
You don't even have to wait for it. Yeah.
Who cares, right?
Exactly.
You got
Move
one
on.
life to live, okay? Um,
Yeah.
the second thing is you need to curate a strong business foundation. And what does
Mhm.
that mean? You need to have some systems. Like, so yes, I did a soft launch, right? I needed to get visible. I didn't care about all the bells and whistles. All right.
Mhm.
And people can feel
Mhm.
that energy. But at some point in time, you got to get serious about what systems and structure do I have in place to
Mhm.
be able to accept the rain that will come your way. And then the final thing is 3. You need to create your stage. Some of us are waiting for that is someone famous, possibly, to say, I have now deemed you worthy of sharing your message on social media. Well, guess what? They ain't coming.
They're busy. Yeah.
You need to create your own stage, and you
Mhm.
have to be really at this place of understanding that your message is here to set someone else free. When you get that,
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what the metrics are going to be. It
Mhm.
matters, are you in alignment? Are you clear on the program promise that you're delivering from what you're sharing on
Mhm.
social? And are you going to deliver it with excellence? Because that's the
Mhm.
other part. Yes, I did it quickly, but I am delivering with excellence to my clients, which is why I continuously get referrals, which is why I'm able to sell out my
Mhm.
programs, which is why I keep having people continually join at high rates, right? At high ticket
Mhm.
rates, as well as lower, right? I do have options like that. So if anyone's in a place where they are looking for themselves specifically for speaking, I have a great guide that's completely free. It's called a Profitable Speaker Roadmap, and it's great questions to ask yourself based on the framework that I just shared.
Can you tell us where we can find you online, Jasmin, so people can get all of your assets, and they can find out more about how to follow you and learn from you?
Yeah, so you can go to jasminhaley.com. I am Jasmin without an E. My mom has blessed me with the constant struggle of telling people I do not have an E at the end of my name. So it's
Mhm.
JasminHaley.com.
Awesome. And I always like to ask my guests, what is your word of the day?
Ooh, I think grace. I think
Grace.
grace. Yes. I think for me, it's grace. So my number one strength on Clifton Strengths is futuristic. I'm always thinking about the possibilities for the future, but I also
Mhm.
have to understand that there are steps that are necessary as I'm moving along. And I have to give myself grace in the expectations that, but I just want it now, right? So I think
Mhm.
that is where I'm at as I'm growing and scaling my business.
I love it. And any call to action you'd like to leave us with?
Get to moving.
Well,
That's my call to action.
I will just sum up what Jasmine said. She said, your most powerful asset is your voice, and your message is here to set someone else free. So
Yep.
Jasmine, thank you so much for being with me. It's always great to see you. And
Yeah.
I appreciate just, the steps you've taken, your confidence and your motivation for all of us to really get moving. So thanks for being with me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And everyone, thank you for joining us. This is Barbara Rosgoni. I am your conversation host at Growing Social Now, and I invite you to follow us wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Until next time, keep growing social now.